We just had a great podcast that you're going to see in a moment with Hal Somers from Miramichi. Hal's one of those rare business leaders who's built something truly lasting. Over the course of his career, he built and grew what's now the Towne Auto Group, including Towne Ford, Towne Mazda, Towne Chrysler, creating one of the most respected automotive groups in the region and employing dozens of people in the Miramichi area. But what makes Hal's story even more impressive is that his impact goes far beyond business. He's been a longtime leader in the community, serving as the president of the Miramichi Chamber of Commerce, chairing major fundraising campaigns like Arbeck Wellness Center, and being recognized as a free man of the city of Miramichi for his decades of service and contribution. In this conversation, we talk about his journey as an entrepreneur, how he thinks about leadership, and how he builds people and culture, and why giving back to the community has always been such a central part of his life. It's a thoughtful and inspiring conversation with someone who's had a real and lasting impact on both business and the community. You'll really enjoy this. You'll also get to meet Paul Kearley, our managing partner in the Maritimes area. So enjoy this podcast. Wow. Well, great to take some time to be with Hal Somers. Hal, we're so glad you're able to join our Canadians Leading with Impact podcast. And today I'm joined with Paul Kearley, who is our managing partner in the Maritimes. And so nice to have another face on this podcast. Hal, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Knowing through Paul, the impact you've had in your local community and in terms of your business and what you've done over many years to take a unique approach. We want to explore today just how first off, how'd you get going? How'd you get started? And then second, how did you grow your business? If we could start there, and then we'll talk about how you lead and maybe it'll come out. So
Sure.
thanks again.
Well, thanks very much for having me. I really appreciate the invitation, and yeah, I'm happy to talk about anything you'd like to talk about.
Very good.
I always say I get into the car business by accident. When I was growing up, I was always interested in selling things and making money, I guess. As a kid, you know how the schools do their little projects and selling magazines or whatever. I always wanted to win those, and
Oh,
I did whatever I could do as a kid to make money, like picking berries or picking fiddleheads. Do you have fiddleheads in Ontario?
yeah, we do. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
Little
So
ferns. Yeah.
we used to pick fiddleheads and sell them, and so back in the old days, and peeling poles. My neighbor was in the cedar pole business, and
Wow.
he used to drag poles home, and the local kids would go and chip all the bark off them, and he'd give us a couple of bucks per pole or whatever. I was
That's
always
awesome.
interested in making money, but I never really thought about doing it for a living. And then so I worked at a couple different jobs. I worked in a mine. I worked underground in a mine for a while. I worked with NBTEL for a while, and one of my how I got started in the car business was a guy that I knew forever had started a used car operation. He said, "Did you ever think about selling cars?" And I said, "No, I haven't, no." But I was working at the mines. Uh, I was engaged to my wife at the time. Well, my current wife, she's still my wife. And I said, I really don't want to be working in the mines for the rest of my life. So this guy approached me, and I always say everything happens for a reason. And this guy approached me and said, "Hey, do you ever think about selling cars?" I said, "No, but I had a good job. I didn't really want to quit."
Hmm.
I said, "Well, I'll take 2 weeks holidays and I'll come and try it." And so the rest is history. I took 2 weeks off
Wow.
and went and tried it, and yeah, then I went from there. So yeah, it was. Like I say, I get into the
Something
cars.
about,
I get into it by accident.
yeah.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was it that hooked you in those 2 weeks when you were?
I just really liked dealing with people, and I really liked the flexibility of my income.
Hmm.
It was I could work harder and make more money, and if you're in a job where you have to wait for the union to negotiate your contract, or you have to wait for the boss to recognize that you're doing a good job, then I kind of
Hmm.
wanted to have my own destiny in my own hands, I guess. So that was the I saw the potential, I guess. So. Yeah.
That makes so much sense because a lot of people out there that just work for the man. They get a paycheck and they're happy with that. But what
Sure.
you
Yeah,
just said really resonates because you're getting the paycheck, but you knew that, hey, I can be even more if I choose to be.
for
Mm.
sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, and I guess the other thing that motivated me too, I worked with a lot of older guys when I was working underground at the mines, and I didn't like anything about the job except for the money.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of older guys that were there that were not happy with where they were. They complained about their job. They had wives and children and mortgages and whatever. And I thought, oh man, I don't want to be that guy in
Mm, yeah.
20 years from now or 30 years from now. And so that really motivated me too. So when the opportunity came along, I grabbed it. And yeah, so it worked out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you worked in car sales at the start, and then how did it come about that you ended up getting
Being the
into
owner.
owning a dealership? And by the way, you're in Miramichi, New Brunswick.
Yeah, I'm
That's
in Miramichi, so it's a pretty small town. I think in the city right now is about 18,000 people within the city, and
Roughly.
surrounding area, our market area is something like in the mid 30s, depending on the day. But so yeah, we have a pretty good market area to draw from, but it's a relatively small community. So yeah, so I started in sales and with this used car guy who's still in business and still a friend of mine. And
no
but
way.
anyway, I got approached by another gentleman who was opening up a Toyota, or no, sorry, he was buying a bankrupt Pontiac store. They had gone out of business. This was in the early 80s. So it was pretty common for car dealers to go out of business in the early 80s. Interest rates were in the low 20%. And
Wow.
I always say we were successful at that store because we didn't really know what we were doing. and and the guy who started the store, his name was Bill Tozer, and he had come from a background of he was in the woods business, had a mill, woods operation, was quite successful at it, sold out, did pretty well. And this car business, the car dealership, went up for sale because it was bankrupt. And he bought it, and he recruited me to come as one of his sales guys. And we were it's so strange when I look back at it, and especially the narrative today about interest rates and how high they are, and whatever. Like people are upset that mortgages are 5% now, and and literally back in the 80s, early 80s, and I'm sure you can Google this and find it, but interest rates on vehicles were 20 to 25%. And that was for prime customers. That was not subprime. That was for prime customers. And dealers were literally falling off every week. And so we were on the other end, and I think it's because we were positive and maybe a little bit naive, but we were going and we were buying vehicles from other dealerships. We were buying trailer loads of vehicles that they couldn't sell and bringing them into the store, and we were selling them. It was the most bizarre thing when I look back now and think about it. I'm not sure I would be so optimistic today if interest rates went to 20%. I don't think I would be buying stuff from other dealers, but back then we didn't know any better, and we were really successful with it. So
Wow.
then after that, Bill ended up selling that store after probably 4 or 5 years, and he opened up a Toyota store. And Toyota was not in our area at that time.
Hmm.
So he built a new building, recruited me to come be his general sales manager. And we were there, that was in 1988.
Hmm.
So in 1990, the local Mercury dealer went out of business and in our town. And so at that time, there was a Ford store and a Mercury store, and the Mercury store went out of business. And we were just chugging along with Toyota. We were doing really well. Our market share was really strong, and the Ford rep was common back in those days for other brands to drop in and pick the competition's brains, I guess, for lack of a better term. And so the guy would stop in and visit all the time and say, "What are you guys doing? And you guys are doing really good on market share, and tell us
Hmm.
your secrets, whatever." And so finally they came back and said, "We really have this open market now. Would you
Hmm.
guys like to buy the store, the Mercury store?" And Bill and I talked about it together, and we were going to go into on this store together. And so that's how we ended up with that. I ended up buying that store in 1991. Bill did not become my partner. He kind of
Hmm.
backed out at the last minute, but it worked out. And so I bought that store in 1991, and it had been bankrupt, and we turned it around, and we're quite successful with it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow,
Hmm.
what a What a transition story. And that's something that you seem to have some skill at, is taking something that's broken or not making money and turn it around.
Yeah,
You
fixing.
did that
Yeah.
a few other times, is that right? Is that to tell us that?
Yeah, well, yeah, we did. So we had the Mercury store, and I'm trying to remember my dates here. We ran that store for probably 6 or 7 years. We were getting again strong market share. My thing has always been I've always been, I think, good at marketing, sales and marketing,
Hmm.
and even some of my other skills that weren't so strong, like finance. I was never good at books or whatever, but I was always good at with people, the people skills, and so yeah, we were able to take that business and grow it to the point where we had an opportunity to buy out the local Ford store that was in town. In 1989, Ford identified some markets in Canada. They were doing away with Mercury. Mercury was done in Canada, and so we were all basically selling the same products. And so they identified some smaller markets that they wanted to put some money into to make a deal. So they basically encouraged one dealer to buy the other dealer out. And so we bought the other dealer in 2000, and we amalgamated the two stores, and we built a new facility in 2003, I believe it was. So yeah, yeah. And it was a kind of a failing business too. The Ford store was. The guy that was there was getting older and not so interested in the car business so much anymore. And so it was a good opportunity. And then after that, the other stores that we acquired were exactly the same thing. Been in the family for a long time, multiple generations. Nobody actually paying a lot of attention, and so yeah, we had some good opportunities. So yeah, there's different schools of thought on that. I mean, I think now when I talk to my sons about it, they like the idea of buying something that's operating really well
Huh.
and having key people in place that they
Of
can
course.
buy, and that haven't done this yet, but that's what their thought, that's what they would focus on, rather
Yeah.
than taking a store that's floundering and turning it around. And I guess for me, it came down to economics. I really didn't have the money to go and buy a store that was worth several $1 million. And I don't think well, at the time, I know the banks would not give me several $1 million to do it. So we had to look at opportunities where they were. And for us, it was like, okay, this is not going very well. All we gotta do is convince someone to believe in us, and not give us a lot of money. So that's been our track record, I guess. So
Wow.
yeah.
So interesting. It's
So Hal, you've got the attitude of if it's broke, I can fix it. And you bought a dealership that was broken. You fixed it. You brought it back to life. You gave it a new meaning. How did the boys get like your business philosophy to me is just there's not many people around like you that look at things that way and say, what can I do here? How can I make this better? And what you just said, I found quite interesting. Where you look at buying and fixing, and the boys look at buying something that's already fixed and just continuing on building it from there. Where,
Yes.
where did that philosophy come from?
I think it's because I look at myself as being an entrepreneur, and my boys don't look at themselves as being entrepreneurs. They look at themselves as being good
Business owners.
managers. Yeah. And so there's a pretty distinct difference. My guys, I say all the time, in a lot of regards, are a lot smarter than I am. They, but they don't. They're not. They're more risk adverse than I am and was and still am. And so they would sit down and do the math more than I would. I would look at it and say, "Oh yeah, I think I can turn this thing around because I can get the right people and I can encourage people to follow me, and I'm confident that I can make this work." And they're more like, "Okay, let's look at the numbers. What do they do? And now, can we maintain these numbers? Can we grow them incremental every year? Where are the opportunities to build on this business?" And so, I think they're both really good strategies. I think either one. Well, I know either one will work. A lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are buying like vibrant businesses and paying like what seems to be way over market value for them and being quite successful with them. So, I think either works. And like I say, I think it comes back to economics. If you have the money to do it, then good on you. Then maybe, that's a good path for you. If you don't have the money to do it, then you need to look at a different way to do it if you really want to be in business. Maybe, cozy up to some guy that or lady that wants to sell their business and say, hey, I can help you improve. Like I can, if you don't have any money, that's what I would suggest. Like go and find a business that you can help and say, for 10% of the growth, I will come in and I'll help you move this business around and, possibly end up with it after a number of years. I know in Atlantic Canada, there was and probably still is a lot of businesses that have no succession plan. And so, there's a lot of young people out there that have the drive and energy and the ambition, but they don't have the cash. And so I think there's opportunities if you want to look around for them.
So other than cash, what else do they need?
I think you need a plan. You always need a plan. And so I've always been big on writing down where I want to be and how I want to get there and sharing that with whoever's around me. And I think that's the key to success, or one of the keys to success is making sure you know where you're going and how you're going to get there. And having the right people around you. I mean, this, I'm sure from past experiences that, it's all about the people. And I don't believe anybody does any of this stuff on their own. I don't think anyone makes it happen all by themselves, although some people get that in their mind sometimes that they are, and they generally don't succeed. And I've always been big on having people around me that I really felt were smarter than I am. And I think and not be intimidated by it. Like, I mean, you have to be, I mean, admit, like if you put me in an accounting office and said you need to stay there for the rest of your career, I'd run away for sure. I don't know what I would do. But I've had people around me that I could trust, and so and give me good advice. So I think that's the key. And whether maybe you're not good at sales and marketing, but there are people out there that are. So maybe you're like my oldest boy. He's the accountant type in our business. He analyzes everything, which is great. But he will not ever lead a sales team. He could do it for a while and he could do it successfully, but he would not get good energy from it. And so he wants to have the right people in the right chair. And I think that's the most important part, getting the right people in the right chair. And and getting the wrong people out of the chair. I think that's what happens in smaller businesses a lot. We don't think like big corporations, and we tend to sit on things longer than we should, and we think about how it's going to affect somebody's family if they don't have a job with us, or how it's going to affect them paying their mortgage or buying their groceries. And so we tend to pour more into people, which is and it's good in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases it works out, but in some cases it's not. And so I think it's hard to apply big business thinking to small business sometimes. And I think you really have to, especially in today's day and age. You make a few mistakes and it can cost you a lot of money really fast right now.
Right. Wow. Well, I've heard so many things so far about there's an entrepreneurial mindset, there's a manager mindset, there's having a plan, there's bringing great people around you. It's if you're an entrepreneur, it's being accepting some risk. This is exciting because I find like so many young people today don't hear this kind of possibilities first off.
Yeah.
And you're saying there's possibilities in a lot of businesses. Someone could
man.
grasp.
Yeah, I really believe that there's a ton of opportunities right now. I think that if you're a person who wants to apply yourself and work hard, I really believe you can stand out more now than you probably ever could before. I look around our little communities and not necessarily opportunities for big business, but if you want to go and start small businesses, I could probably name several for you real quick. And there are opportunities out there. The other thing I really believe that people make a mistake at when they get into business is thinking that they should know everything. And I made that mistake myself. I went for a number of years afraid to ask questions because I I didn't want people to know how stupid I was. And
God.
and a lot of business owners will do the same thing. They'll not ask questions and they'll not ask for help. And it took me. I got to a really bad spot in my business life where we ran into some issues with Revenue Canada. Ended up in the long run, they were wrong and we were right, which was great. But it
Mm.
would put me in a really bad spot with the banks, and I just didn't know where to turn. And I remember going home just before Christmas and telling my wife that this may be the last Christmas we're going to have in our house because things were not very good. And I went to church this particular Sunday morning, and there was a guy there, and I'd tell you his name. I don't know if I should share names or not, but he's a well-known business guy. And he said, "So how are you doing?" And as business owners, we always say, "Oh, things are good. Yeah, it's great. Yeah." But that particular morning, for whatever reason, maybe because I was in church, I decided to tell the truth. And I said, I said, it's not very good. Things are really bad. He said, "So what's happening?" So I told him the situation. He said, "Do you have a lot of experience with finance and that type of thing?" And I said, "No, I'm terrible at it." And he said, "So I want to give you some advice." He said, "I've done some really big jobs over the years, and I knew nothing about the job when it started, nothing." And he named a couple of jobs in particular. And he said, "I researched where the best person in the world was that could help manage this job. And I went and brought them in. And I've had lots of success with it." And so that was I call it my TSN turning point. Literally a few days later, my cousin and her husband were home. And my cousin's husband was an investment banker with Nesbitt Burns. And he had a lot of experience. He was in Toronto, Vancouver. Last position that he retired from, he was in New York City. So like the guy was sharp. He was traveling all over the world and buying businesses and for the banks, and a really sharp guy. So he invited me to go golfing, and I'm not a good golfer, but I went golfing with him, and we had a very similar conversation. He asked how things were going, and I just opened up to him. I really felt like my back was against the wall at that point in time, and I had to either, swallow my pride and get some help, or I'm going to be going out of business, and that's a big one to swallow too. So anyhow, he said, "So I'll come and help you for a month. I want to get an idea about your business."
Wow.
And because he had just retired and he bought a house in our community.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, okay, that'd be great." So he came in and he spent a month and he asked questions, just kept asking questions. And the biggest one that stuck with me, he kept saying, "Well, why do we do it this way? Why are we doing it this?" And he knew nothing about the car business, like nothing. And so he challenged all of us to think differently about things,
Huh.
just by asking questions. And so at the end of the 30 days, he said, "I can fix this for you, but I'm not going to do it for free." And you got to remember, I'm like broke. And he didn't need the money either, by the way, but
Mm.
he was teaching me
Mm.
my lesson. And he said, "I need $100,000 a year." And this was back in the mid 2000s,
Huh.
probably 2005-ish. And he said, "I'll come for $100,000 a year." And that was a lot of money in Miramichi in 2005. And I said, "Well, I'm going to go bankrupt. Another 100,000 isn't going to matter." So I agreed to it.
Wow.
And he came in, and I still thank him every time I get the opportunity. He doesn't live in our community anymore. He's living in Ontario now. But every
Mm.
time I have an opportunity, I thank him for helping me because it really opened my eyes to see, okay, you need to be humble, and you need to ask for help because you can't know everything. You can't deal with every situation on your own. And so you hire people, or you surround yourself with people who really can help you out. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
What a good story. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's a good story. It was, like I say, it was a turning point for me for sure. I learned a lot from that guy, and some of my staff that were there when he was there still talk about him,
Huh.
and positively. And the ones who didn't like him left immediately.
Hmm.
And he changed all of our managers' pay plans. He changed in 2005. and they're very similar today. He
Wow.
cut the salaries probably less than half of what they were and put everybody on bonus plans. And today, if I went in and said, we're going to go back to salaries and take away your bonus, I think more people would quit over that now than, yeah. What it did, it made more people care about my business than just me. It made all my managers care about my business and growing the business. So it was really helpful.
Yeah,
So sorry, go ahead.
when you got something at stake, you look at it differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We lost a couple of people that time over they just wouldn't say because they wanted the security if they didn't want
Hmm.
the pay plan that he was rolling out. But you know what?
Hmm.
It didn't affect our business negatively at all. It affected positively. So like I
Wow.
say, I think it's really important to have the right people around you. And
Hmm.
the other thing I think that young entrepreneurs need to do is they need to have some support groups that they're involved with. And I'm in a group of a few actually. Over the years, I've been involved with profit comparison groups,
Hmm.
performance groups. They're called in the car business, and so
Hmm.
you get together with people in the same industry, similar size stores across the country, and like ours was
Hmm.
in Canada only. And so you get to be in a room with these guys, and a lot of them are doing really well in different areas of the business, and you're not, and maybe you're doing well in areas in your business and they're not. So we get to share ideas, and it was a really helpful process for me.
Hmm.
And my boys are still involved in that organization as well. And
Hmm.
then the other thing is I'm involved with the Wallace McCain group. And so I have a peer group of, it started off, there was 15 of us. Now we're down to 8 because, people move and businesses come and go or whatever, or they sell. But there's still 8 of us. And we've been together for 15 years. They
Wow.
become some of my best friends, and become my best advisors. I can send a text right now and have a question, and I'll have 7 replies within probably a half an hour. And they're all in different this group, they're all in different types of business, so they have all
Hmm.
different experiences. Some of them are running companies all around the world, offices in you know, Asia and wherever else. And so, they know things that I don't know. So I think it's really important to have that kind of support, because if you don't, being a business owner or an entrepreneur is extremely lonely.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, First of all, everybody in the community and your friends think that just because you started a business, now you have lots of money and you're super rich, which
Hmm.
is completely the opposite. And you can't talk to them about your problems. I mean, they just don't understand what you're going through. And you tend to keep a lot of things to yourself if you don't have that support group around you. So for me, that's been invaluable. And I really encourage young entrepreneurs to find people that they can talk to and get good advice from, and
Yeah.
who genuinely care about you, because there's some that would probably possibly lead you down the wrong path, but you figure those people out pretty quickly. But you need to have that support group.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Amazing. Wow. It's packed with good advice. We just a couple podcasts ago had a fellow named Alan Beach on, and Alan Beach organizes performance groups for auto repair
Oh,
businesses.
okay.
And the I've got to work with him and a lot of his customers. And boy, these I was gonna say guys, but it's more than guys. They run these businesses, and when they connect with their peers, they very quickly see well that the humility you talked about. They get humble
for,
pretty quick,
for
and
sure.
but boy, they can elevate their performance really quickly when they see data
Absolutely.
points.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, we kind of, if you live in your own little bubble, you think, oh, I'm doing really well.
Yeah.
And, and you go to like one of these performance meetings, you say, oh man, this guy who's like 3 towns away from me is doing like 5 times better. What the heck are you doing? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just little tweaks that you need to make. And, a lot of times it's people. That's one of my things that I've learned over the years, is that it's generally about having the right people in the right chair, the right seat on the
Mm.
bus, or whatever analogy you want to use. But
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot to be said about having the right person in the right job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
that leads me to this question about so you're a big believer, get the right people around you, trust their knowledge and expertise aside from our own. You're very
Yes.
humble about that. Um, what would you say has allowed you to keep so many good people around? What is it about your, if you want to call it your leadership style or your philosophy, what would you say works for you, Hal?
I think that people know my values and they know how I'm going to react to situations.
Mm,
And I think that's important for people. They want stability. And pay is important too, obviously. And so I always say, my job is to have to provide you with the right tools and equipment you need to do the job, and make sure that your pay is in your bank account on Friday. And other than that, the rest is up to you.
mm,
So, but yeah, I think it's important that people know you're not, flying off the handle over little things all the time. You're
mm,
steady when things get rough. They know that you're gonna maneuver things through. And so, I'm doing an exercise with my boys and Amanda. Amanda's one of our key leaders in our organization, with the three of them right now, about identifying their values. And my boys and Amanda have similar values to mine. The issue is they all have different skill sets. And so people in our organization will fish, for lack of a better term, for an answer. And so they might get a slightly different answer from Justin than they will from Josh, as they will from Amanda. And so they'll fish until they get the right answer. So I think what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to put our values down on paper, which is a little bit challenging. I never had to really do that because, when I started out, I had one store, and then we added another one, and then the third one. But uh, as we went along, people understood who I was and what I stood for and what my values were. And so it was easy for them to say, hey, if I go ask this question, I know what the answer is going to be. I know how Hal's going to respond. And so I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to carry on. And now with the three of them, it creates a different dynamic, and it's a little bit more challenging. So that's one of the things I think that keeps good people on board, is knowing what your business values are, what your personal values are, and
mm.
they know, they feel comfortable, I guess, or confident that you're going to make the right decisions for the business and for them.
Right.
Yeah,
And when they know you or know the values, they can trust it, and that gives them that freedom, I guess, to know I'm going to go in the right
for sure.
direction, more or less. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one thing to put your values down on paper. It's the other thing, another thing to see it lived, right? And like I say, some of the people that have been in my organization have been with me for a lot of years. We've had the Ford store for 34 years, and I've got a few people that were with me from the beginning. So they understand. They know that I'm going to make a decision that's going to get us through, and so that's a challenge for my boys and for Amanda.
Yeah.
First of all, it's really tough being the owner's kid coming in and being in the business. And Justin's been with us for 20 years, and they still, people still question if he knows anything about the business. And like I said in the beginning, he's a sharp guy. He knows a lot about the business, and he can run it
Mm,
very well. Probably run it better than I can.
mm,
It takes some time for people to really understand, okay, what are their collective values, and they're not going to back down when things get tough. They're going to make the right decision. They're going to back the right people. And
yeah.
so, yeah, those one of the most important things for me, and I think it's important for your staff to know.
Mm,
Mhm.
right on. Yeah. I love
What
that.
would be your driving value, Hal?
My driving value, I would say, is consistency.
Mm,
I really believe if you want to be successful, you have to be consistent, and consistent product, consistent decision making, just consistency overall is what I think people crave it. I really do. And in the world we're living in today, you can look around. You don't have to look very far. Just open your news feed. Not a lot of consistency right now,
mm.
and people are agitated and irritated by it, and they don't really know what to expect next. And it's concerning. And so I think if you're in an organization and you can show consistency, people will be more apt to follow you and believe in you and do as you would like them to do, I guess. So
Mm.
yeah.
So you're consistent in the business. You've proven that over the years. I was also doing some research on Hal Somers, the person outside of work. You've done stuff with the Chamber of Commerce. You've got the Freeman of the Miramichi City Award. You've Healthcare Foundation Leadership, Startup Miramichi. Does it ever end? You
It's getting to an end now. uh, Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, we're in a small community, and I really feel, really feel the community has been very supportive of me and my family over the years, and so I think it's important to give back. And so I've been involved in a lot of stuff over the years, and I've had people say, "Well, why are you doing this? Like, what is in it for you?" And I'm honest about it. Like, I'm selfish. I want the community to grow. And if the community grows, my business is going to grow. If people do better, my business is going to do better. And so, yeah, there is a selfish part of it, I guess. But on the other side of things, you know, it's really important to give back. Like we support a lot of things in the community, a lot of stuff that we don't talk about publicly. We like to do a lot of our stuff privately, which is good. And but you know, each to his own. Some people like to do it publicly, and that's fine. That's fair. But my biggest thing is giving back in ways like by being helpful in like different roles. And so, yeah, I've been involved in a lot of committees, and so I'm backing off on a bunch of them right now. I'm still involved in a few, uh, but not as many. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
wow.
Wow. Would you recommend that for uh, leaders, young leaders, more senior leaders, is be involved in things, maybe not always core in your business, but in the community?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest challenges that we're finding right now, even with our sales teams, is to get them involved in different community events. If there's something going on, they should be there. They should be present. They should be, you know, giving back. We have a few of the guys that do it and do it really well, and they're pretty successful at it. And yeah, I think it's key. That's you know, other people, we could argue the point, I guess. Other people would probably argue with me about it, but for me, it's been successful. And you know, I really it's important, and I really want to encourage my boys to be involved, and they're involved in a lot of stuff in the community as well. And yeah, I think it's a big part, especially in small community. A small community, you can have a big impact, right? And you know, helping out with the kids baseball team or a hockey team or whatever, with a lot of people that can't really afford to do it, it's a lot of help, and it has a big impact. And helping in our healthcare system, that's been one of my favorite ones I've been involved with. The I've been chair of the hospital foundation for too many years. I just resigned as the chair, and we have a new chair in there, and I'm really excited about her. She's going to do a great job, and we've got new leadership there, so it's good. But yeah, I think my deal was I always like to leave things in better shape than when I found them.
Mm.
And so that's one thing that I've been really happy about. Our hospital foundation is in really great shape, financially and otherwise. And so we're able to do a lot of really good things for the hospital and for our community right now. So yeah,
Mm.
it's been a good one. Yeah.
Congratulations. Wow.
Yeah.
What a nice legacy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm proud of that one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Wow. Well, I'm just finding this so full of wisdom. This has been really tremendous talking with you. Paul, is there anything I guess I am curious, not that we want to make this about Dale Carnegie and ourselves, but you've
Yeah.
invested in developing people over the years. What what was your reason for perhaps using Dale Carnegie for some of your in development? What and why did you do that, and how did it work?
Well, I met this Paul guy 30 some odd years ago. And he just wouldn't leave me alone. Actually, it's funny when I first bought the Mercury dealership, that was in 91. I met Paul then. That's when we first met, Paul.
Yeah,
Remember
I
that?
remember. I remember
And
well.
yeah, and
I can even tell you
Paul,
what I was driving then. I was driving an Aerostar van.
I
Remember
remember that Aerostar.
that?
So, and we had our first session, I believe it was at the Wharf Inn, if I remember right. Was that where it was, or was it
Yeah,
at the Rock? The Wharf Inn, I think. Yeah.
Wharf Inn.
Yeah. So anyhow, I signed up to go because I wanted some of my people to go. Uh, I they were one guy in particular that ended up not staying with our organization, but he was really kind of quiet and shy, and I basically wanted to encourage him. And so I forget how many people we took at that time, but I remember him in particular, and it was really helpful for us. And so we just continued to invest in our people, and Dale Carnegie has been good for us. We've had a lot of sessions over the years with the Dale Carnegie group, and there's a lot of good literature that comes out of it. There's a lot of good practices that come out of it, and for me, it's been solid. And I know my boys have been involved in quite a few of the courses as well. And I think they still continue to have success with it. So yeah, it's been good. But I think learning is a big part of our lives, and if you stop learning, I think you stop growing. And so I really believe in reading and learning whatever you can. There's all kinds of opportunities to improve, and I don't I don't say that you need to keep improving all the time, but I really think you need to keep growing. And so if you stop going forward, I think you go backwards. So it's been really important for me. And so I've encouraged my managers in particular to be reading good leadership books, finding new techniques. Again, like I say, being involved in peer groups, having the right people around you to get advice from. They get a lot of advice from their dad, i.e. me, and that's good. But I have different thoughts. Like I'm 66 now, so I don't think like a 30-something-year-old does. And so my ideas are probably still will work, but there's probably better stuff out there. So I think you need to keep exploring and learning and growing.
Right,
So
right on. Wow. In terms of learning and reading, did you do that as a young man, or was that something you picked up more into your business years, or how would you say?
I didn't know in my business years. Yeah, I
Yeah,
read almost exclusively read business books. Almost exclusively. I started now. I'm an avid fisherman. I do a lot of salmon fishing, so I started reading some fishing books about fishing travels around the world and stuff like that. So, but yeah, mostly I read business books, and so there's been a few that I've really encouraged my team to read, and I've gifted many people over the years with. So yeah.
Mm.
I think it's really important.
Could you
Uh,
name some of those your favorites? We're just curious.
so I like John Maxwell a lot. I've read a lot of John Maxwell stuff, but my one of my favorites is Good Leaders Ask Great Questions, and it's one of my favorites. I've given that book to a lot of people,
Hmm.
and I think my old buddy Ernie, the guy that I mentioned earlier, but we brought in to help save my business,
Hmm.
he taught me a lot about asking questions, and John
Hmm.
Maxwell kind of reinforced that whole thing. The other one that I gave to a lot of my managers, and I've ordered many copies of, is called Win, just WIN, and it's
Huh.
written by Rabbi Stephen Bars is the guy's name,
Wow.
and it's a great book. I'd encourage you to have a look at it. It's really good,
Cool.
and I've had some of our managers who grabbed onto that book and they basically used it like their Bible. There's a lot of really good stuff in there, and so it just gets you to think about things a little bit differently. And those are two of my favorites. I'm just started reading this one now. It's called Know What You're For, and it's a growth strategy for work and even better strategy for life. So
Wow.
I just getting into it, so I can't really recommend it or not recommend it yet, but I'll let you know how it goes. But yeah, I think
Um,
it's important to
hmm.
be on top of that kind of stuff, and like to know where you need help, and uh, just go find it. There's lots of opportunity out there now. There really is. Yeah, you can find whatever you want right now. Back in the old days, I tell the story all the time to the sales team about when I first got into the car business. Uh, I was young. I was 31.
Huh.
And no, sorry, I was 31 when I got my dealership. I was 21 or 22 when I get in the car business. So, of course, I was there in the store with a lot of older guys who'd been around a long time. And, they told me how tough it was to get into the car business and how tough it was to create a clientele and whatever. And so I just started at the time, I would open the phone book. Literally, and I tell this story, and first of all, young people don't know what a phone book is.
No.
But I would open the phone book at whatever, and I would just start calling people
Wow.
and introduce myself and say, "Hi, I'm Hal Somers. I'm in the car business. I'm working at Checkpoint Pontiac. I'm wondering if you'd have any interest in having a look at a new or used vehicle." And
Wow.
back in those days, people were probably more polite than they were if they were getting today if they were getting those kind of calls. But I did it,
Wow.
and I would end up getting deals. I had no other way to prospect back. There was no internet. There was no cell phones. There was none of that stuff back in the day. And then the
Amazing.
other thing that I would do back then, I would just go to local stores, like in the smaller communities. Like, Paul, you'd be familiar with these communities like Blackville and Sunny Corner and
Oh, yeah,
Renews and those places.
yeah.
And I would just go and hang out and talk to people
Wow.
and have a coffee and chat with whoever came in. And it's bizarre when you think about it, but I mean, it's kind of like, throwing stuff online and hoping that somebody takes it. I guess it's a little different, but very similar. So
Mm.
yeah, that's what I did back in the day. So like I say, you get some strange looks now when you start talking about phone books. So what's a
Yeah,
phone book?
my kids have no clue. Yeah.
No, 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 no. I think we have one phone book in our store right now, and we still have a sales guy with us that's been with us for a long time. And
Wow.
I think he's 74 now, and he still uses a phone book. I don't know where he gets them, but he still has one.
Yeah.
Probably kept it from years ago.
Yeah, I didn't
Must
know
be
if they published
Terry.
numbers.
That's Terry. Yeah, 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 yeah,
That's great.
yeah,
Well, Hal, this has been great. You so much wisdom today, and really appreciate you being so forthright about it and just laying out this is my philosophy and this is how it's worked for me. And if you were to give advice to any young leaders today, again, trying to make an impact, what's what's one thing that you would say this is most important or very important? What would you say?
Be nice. Mhm. Yeah, be nice to people.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's rare now, right? And it goes a long way. And I think it's extremely important if you're gonna be successful in your business or in life. Just be nice. Yeah,
Love it.
yeah,
What a great way to end. This has been awesome. So great to connect with you, and we look forward to more conversations like this. So thanks,
yeah,
Hal.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. Nice meeting you.